All right, welcome everyone. We're going to get started now. We are on the first conference call of the series where we interview a top producer, and we are very fortunate to have our #1 top producer for 2019, Lacey Kelly, on the call tonight with us. So welcome, Lacey.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Great. We are going to just do an interview, and then what I'd like to do is have people moderate. I'm going to moderate. Shannon will ask the question.
Okay.
And then if you have a comment, just send me a message, and I will ask you at the very end, Lacey. So we're going to go with the pre-asked questions first.
Okay.
But if you guys think of something that you want to ask Lacey, if you wouldn't mind, just keep yourself muted, and we'll go ahead and ask the question at the very end. You can just send me a direct message. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to turn it over to Shannon.
So one of the first questions we've got for you, just to kind of get you warmed up, is to tell us why you decided to do real estate again.
Oh, that's an easy one. When I was working at a bank, I worked there for 8 years, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And I remember a few times sitting down with a couple of my clients trying to get them ready for, repairing their credit or whatever the situation was at the time. And I remember I was like, oh, look at me. I'm like a real estate agent. And then essentially after that, I went into insurance, and then my mom had passed, and Keller Williams was actually in our building. They had gone into our building, and my brother decided that he wanted to buy a house. And he's like, hey, didn't we talk about going ahead and going into real estate at one point? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did. And so it was a huge opportunity, but I love houses. We always used to drive by nice houses when I was little because we lived in pretty bad housing. So it was always nice to fantasize and daydream about living someplace better. And now it's just nice to be able to give that gift of homeownership to other people.
That's great.
Weird. It's a weird story.
So one of the, we've got a lot of kind of a mixed crowd. We've got people who are producing on the call tonight, and also a lot of new people. And I think a lot of people kind of want to know what you're doing on a weekly basis to get to the point where you're at. So you kind of walk us through what you do on a weekly basis. What does it look like? Are you goal tracking?
Yeah, I won't count this week because it's Christmas week. But normally, I think that it's a huge thing with tracking. When I was at the bank, I learned what gets tracked gets done, and has always stayed with me. And so as I'm going through my day, I make a list and tally mark of people that I've tried reaching out to, the people that I've had a conversation with, and then I keep track that way. But as I've gotten busier, I noticed that things like contractor issues or certain other things can kind of come up where you have to do 100 different things all at one time, and you can really lose focus of the lead generation. But in order for you to consistently be where you need to be, you have to kind of dial it back and make sure that you really are doing some of the most basic activities that we need to in order to be successful.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So where do the majority of your leads come from? I mean, are they mostly Sphere? I know you say you started with working with your family, but are they still coming mainly from your Sphere? Are you doing some sort of lead campaigns or working with some sort of referral source?
I think it's definitely the referral source. So I have a partnership with a local bank, and so I've been able to have a really good relationship with her, and I get a lot of referrals from her. It's actually probably a good, I would say 50% of my business from her. So I can really emphasize is making sure that you guys have good lender partners, make sure that you have that good relationship, because they will send you referrals and vice versa, because they've proven themselves. But I can't stress that enough. I would definitely say that now that I've been in 5 years, I'm starting to get repeat business. So people that have, maybe I helped them the first or second year in real estate. Now I'm noticing that they're coming back because they want to either upsize or they want to go ahead and they sell their home, which has been kind of cool. That's actually been something that has been a relatively recent development. And I've heard everyone say it before, just wait until you hit the 5-year mark and you'll be fine. And I hit my 5-year mark and I'm starting to see that now. And then I am a Redfin partner agent, so I don't have a majority of my sales through that, but I do have that extra sprinkling, and that definitely does help. And then there's online generation. So it's, I belong to a few different lead sites. And so it's calling them. I haven't had a lot of sales from that, honestly. It's been mainly the sphere of influence and then the referrals. Referrals are a huge part of it as well.
What was it like when you first got started compared to now? Was it kind of still that split between that lender partner? Was that kind of the primary source of your business? I mean, how did that start, and then how did it transform into what it is now?
It was actually, it's really interesting, but I didn't start working with that particular lender partner until 2 years ago. And so it started because there was a referral that I got from my church, and her sister was looking to buy. And so I ended up having a really good transaction together with the lender partner. And that's kind of how everything started. I saw her work ethic, and her work ethic was just, it's kind of like mine. You're always working, you're trying to do the best thing for your customer, you're going the extra step, the extra mile. And so we were able to connect really well. And that's been a huge part of that.
So another question, I mean, we've got a lot of agents that are using a variety of online sources for leads in particular. That's probably one of the number one questions we get from people about top producers is, where do you get your leads? Where do you get your leads? Can you talk to us about how you left Zillow and how you're kind of connecting with these leads and what marketing tools you're using?
Yeah, as far as Zillow is concerned, I wasn't really 100% happy with them, truth be told, just because you end up spending a lot of money and then you don't really get a lot of return, or you might get a lead that is a rental lead. And so I just kind of got really tired of paying Zillow, donating my money to them. And so I decided that I was going to kind of shy away from using them. So they call me all the time, but I tell them no every single time, but I don't use them. I would say, as far as what was the rest of that part of the question, like what marketing tools I use, right? Yeah. So the other thing that's really important too is to connect with a good escrow team. So if you can connect with a good escrow officer, a lot of times if you sit down one-on-one with them, they have a lot of marketing tools that can help. So for example, Bear Printing. Bear Printing has like their own little catalog. I just learned this the other day. I sat down and like they have this way that you can send email blasts and you can send all this kind of cool stuff, and it's a free service to log into this portal. But that has been something that I'm going to start implementing next year because I didn't know it existed. But for marketing tools, I think it's really just important to sit down with someone that has actually done this before and kind of learn from them. And a lot of times that is an escrow person, surprisingly.
Do you sit with these vendors fairly regularly, or is it just kind of like on a yearly basis?
No, I develop a relationship with them.
Okay, so you're always kind of in contact with them.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing to stress more than anything is this is a relationship business. You know, it's a matter of not only are you wanting to build a relationship with your marketing partners, your lender partners, your escrow partners, but even your other fellow agents. Because, you know, whether we're doing cross deal together or whether it's Best Choice or whether it's like Keller Williams and Best Choice or wherever, that person, you never know when you're going to come across them again. And there's been a few times that I've won offers because I've worked with them before and I've made it a relatively easy process to work together. So I can't stress that part enough. And even though that's not a marketing thing, it is a relationship based thing. And I think that that's kind of helped with the tools that we have.
So, I mean, you've talked about kind of different types of support that you have with your lender and escrow. What other kind of support structures do you have so that you can scale your business, right? I mean, you doubled your business, right? So how did you go from where you were to where you are now based on the support that you've kind of built, that infrastructure, if you will?
I think it's defining the definite, like a CRM, for example. I spent too much time looking for a CRM. I did. I went through so many of them, but that is definitely something that kind of keeps me focused on, you know, who I need to be following up with every single day. And I think that's definitely been able to help me keep track of everything. When I first started, I didn't really have a database. I mean, you have a piece of paper, you know, that's pretty much about it. And so that's all I had. But I noticed that once I was more purposeful in what I was doing, that's when my business started really going ahead and increasing. But that's where also too, the decision-making process, if I'm going to use something, I got to make a decision right then and there, or at least within a short period of time, because the more you think about something, the more along the lines you get a little nagger that says, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. And before you know it, a month passes. Well, that month you could have been closing a deal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever paid for coaching? I mean, what's your perspective when it comes to coaching?
I have. I've been in coaching with Debbie DeGroot and her company, Forward Coaching, for November was a year. And I went through a few different coaches, and it took a little bit of time to find the one that resonated the most. But I think that when you do find that person that gets you and understands what your mentality is and like how you operate and how you work, they can hold you to a higher level of accountability. So my coach, she's been this newer one that I have, she's very similar with my personality. She's very similar with like even family structure. She's got 3 kids that are all about 5 years apart, even though hers are older than mine. It's easy for me to connect that because I also have 3 boys. And so being able to have that understanding, like how to balance things or how to make things work, that's a huge help. I would definitely stress, if anyone is ever going to do coaching, it's to make sure that the personalities align, because otherwise there's going to be that disconnect, and it's just not going to be a benefit or fruitful spend of your money. So
should people get a coach then?
I think so. I think if you're in a place to do it, then I would definitely do it. If you're at that spot where you know that you've done well, but you want to take it to here, like let's say you've been, I don't know a good number, but like if you feel like that urge where you just need that little extra push, I would definitely try to budget it and make it happen. And then I think that you'd be astounded at what would come from it.
Right. We can't just be at where we are, right, and expect a certain level of results. It's always good to have kind of another perspective.
Right. Because that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you're stuck in that spot and you're doing the exact same thing, you're not understanding why, it might be time to outsource and look at a third party and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? What can I be doing better? How do I propel my business? What can I be done? And I think a lot of times from a third party perspective, we get out of our own heads, and sometimes we don't want to hear what they say because, we want to feel like we're perfect sometimes. But, at the end of the day, it's the school of hard knocks. You got to learn. It's the only way you can grow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So another kind of going back to some support tools, kind of your little toolkit, if you will. What other kind of hacks do you have, or different things that you've done that have been able to save you money in the long run, I guess, or save you time, right? Because time is money. Yeah.
There's been a few things that I've done. So the first thing was hiring a TC. So transaction coordinator. Cheryl one told me to let it go sometime, like a long time ago. And I did. And once I let things go, it made life so much easier because I was holding on to every single file, doing everything that I was supposed to. And that's really hard when you get busy to continue to manage those files. So hiring a TC, that was a great tool for me. And then what else did I do? CRM. Trying to think of what other little hacks I've done. I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing for me. It was letting go. Time is, I know, as far as like listings, one of the things that, I did, because like that could be really time consuming. I did hire Carly a few times to go and the Best Choice office to go ahead and do the listing input for me. That made also time a little bit easier, even though you pay up front for it. Like at the same time, it made it easier because I could just send her everything and then it was just done. I think Kristen helped me with that too. Just send it and it's done and it's nice. So that was another little trick. It's just leveraging your time.
Right, using our resources that we have at Best Choice Marketplace, kind of a la carte, kind of if you need time in some way, you can at least kind of place an order and we can do it for you.
Well, that's why I would say go through it, because I didn't even know, like when I came back, I didn't even realize all those services were there. Yeah. So I would definitely say if you have the time, just go through the actual Best Choice home site and look to see what's in that marketplace, because that really did help me a lot. So that was really nice.
Cool. So one more question I guess I have for you. I know you talked about your family. So how do you balance your home life with your work life when it comes to your family, vacations? You know, how do you juggle that?
That's a great question. I've been working on it. If you have an answer for me, that'd be great. You don't have the answer? Ah, dang it. Forget that. No, so my husband, he came home 2 years ago, so he's a stay-at-home dad, so that really does help. So my kids are 14, 9, and 4, so they're all at different stages of their life right now. And so when my husband was able to come home and help watch the kids, that really took a lot of that part when it comes to like the schoolwork comes to that. And that was actually a huge part of why my business grew as well, because I was able to do things that I needed to do. But I would say for balancing, it's always a struggle. You know, I think that, I mean, that's something that I've been working on for the last couple of years. It's been hard, honestly. But I think one of the things that I do is I write down my week, and I write down what my to-do list is for that day. And I just started implementing an actual schedule. So I'm trying to respect my dial time, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm respecting my family time. So I think for anyone that is maybe, you know, I mean, because this is your own small business. So write your own schedule, you know, and then just really adhere to it. And a lot of times I was very fearful of not always being there for my clients. And so I would compromise my family's schedule a lot, because I'd be like, oh, nope, we got to go see this. We got to go see this. And when the market was really crazy, you have to go see things. But I learned that, you know, you do have to respect your time. So I'm definitely working on better scheduling. You know, time blocking is what's really important. Even if it's just like an hour and going to lunch with my middle son, then at least that's an hour for my middle son. So you got to find a way to make it work.
Have you found that by respecting your own schedule that your clients end up respecting it as well and respecting you more?
Yeah, I was afraid that they would freak out, but no, everyone's been really, really amazing. And just have the conversation with them. You know, it's just, you know, a lot of times you just got to set that boundary, you know, and once I had enough posture to do that, it was not an issue. And I'm like, why didn't I do this before? So I had to all that.
So you mentioned time blocking. So do you set time aside every day for like making phone calls? You know, what does your day generally look like from when I wake up in the morning? You know, what does that look like until I get into the office? You know, what exactly does that look like?
So every week before the week start, well, on Sunday, I print out a schedule. And so as far as the time blocking, I want to make sure that I'm doing money income producing activities. And I recognize too that, like I was saying earlier, when you do get a little bit busier, you have the contractor stuff, you have all that you have to block in there too. But I think when it comes to dictating your schedule, I know that I'm supposed to be doing lead generation from 9:30 to 11:30. I know I'm supposed to be doing it from that period of time. And I know that from 11:30 to 12:30, I'm allowed to do the admin stuff. I can catch up on my emails. I can catch up on the fire stuff. So there is that part that does help when writing out your schedule and actually time blocking it. But making sure that you put your hours in, like when I said that you have to make your schedule, you really do. And that's where you really are being accountable to yourself by, you know, maybe documenting it. Again, what gets tracked gets done. And if you know that you're going to make X amount of calls within that time period, respect that time period. And then just kind of go from there. That's the one benefit that we do have, is that we can write our own schedules. But when it comes to time blocking, making sure that you're doing income producing activities every single day, and that's what's going to help you propel forward. Instead, I know that for the longest time, it was at the end of the day, I'd say, what did I do? I feel like I did so much, but I actually did nothing. So my to-do list has really just kind of helped along with that time block. So I can look back every day and be like, wow, I actually got a lot done today.
So it's like, be productive, don't be busy, right?
Correct. Yeah, because those are two totally different things. I can make myself busy all day long with random things, but unless you're productive, it's not going to do you any good. And you're just going to be kind of stuck in the same position. Again, that definition of insanity that we talked about.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I missed any other kind of questions we had here. Well, I guess, so what does 2020 look like for you?
2020 is exciting. I'm so excited for it. Rochelle and I just did some business planning, and so I'm going to be adding team members. I'm going to be building a team. I'm going to be hiring someone on a full-time basis. I'm really excited for what's going to happen. I have already set my goals. Of course, you want to grow year after year. So next year I have some pretty extensive goals, but I think that, really just implementing and holding myself accountable to those time blocking things, it's going to get done. But I'm excited. It'll be cool. I'm excited to grow a team. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited for 2022. Let's see. I've got a couple questions. I think Rochelle had some questions that came through from some people. Do you want to pipe in, Rochelle? No?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so yes, there were some questions that came through. What is the cost of coaching? What could you expect, Lacey, for that?
It depends on the different programs that you're going to use. The one that I have is an every other week call, so I get 2 calls a month plus all their stuff, and that's about $700 a month. But they do have different programs that you can choose from. But I would probably say anywhere between $500 to $1,000 is kind of what you could expect from a coaching program.
Anything else, Rochelle?
I may have missed it, but what do you do specifically for lead generation?
For lead generation specifically, it's really the referrals is the biggest thing, honestly. And then that's the biggest one, because honestly, I get a bit of referrals. But as far as everything else is concerned, I would say using the internet leads has been something that I have implemented. It's not as much as I should, but really the referrals is going to be the biggest one. I need to do more. I definitely need to do more. But
so what do you do with those referrals?
I jump on them. I assume the close. Like that's
no,
it's not
so
even.
Like you're what are you doing, I guess, to keep in contact with people that give you referrals?
Communicate. I'm an over communicator. So you check in with them. You make sure that you're doing good. You make sure that you're treating like for example, the lender partner that I get referrals from. I make sure that all of her clients are treated every client should be treated like a VIP, right? Everyone should be. The way that I'm going to keep getting those referrals is making sure that I'm doing a darn good job by following contracts, treating them like VIPs, doing all of that. Other aspects of lead generation, like I said, I do have a bit of internet leads that I use as well, and I have gotten some responses off of those, which was kind of cool. But really, I would prefer to just be more in the referral market. It's a better conversion ratio. Make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have more of an answer on that one.
I got another question from Larry. Do you keep regular hours? And if so, what are they?
I don't keep regular hours at all in the least bit. Oh, it'd be nice. No, my morning starts, actually I usually start after I drop off my kids at school. So I will usually work from like 9:30 to 9 at night. So I work about 12 hours a day. And then on Saturdays as well. So the only days off that I'm giving myself are Sundays. And it took a long time for me to be able to give myself a day off. I literally would work 7 days a week. So, and then it would just be like the hit and miss with that balance stuff, wherever I can fit it in. But now I'm going to be nice and give myself a Sunday off. So, right. But I don't work normal hours.
I got another question, which is, what marketing strategies have you tried that were not effective?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's kind of hard because this is like a more of a hit and miss question, because what may or may not have worked for me may or may not work for other people. So for example, I've never really had a great experience with open houses. I've never really fully 100% enjoyed them, but that's just because that's just me. But there's people that they love open houses and they have fantastic lead generation activities from that and marketing activities. I just personally just don't. I would say I haven't been a huge fan of mailers, just because I feel like for me as a consumer, I just toss them away. So I haven't really, I tried those a long time ago and it wasn't effective for me. But again, what may not work for me may work for someone else. So it's kind of a double-edged sword question on that one, if that makes sense.
Right. So I got another question. Is how long should Lacey wait before switching coaches or switching a CRM or a marketing program?
How long should someone wait?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say, like, for the CRM, I would do the trial runs first, like kind of trial it out. It took me too long to figure out that I liked the one that I'm using now. And I would say, if you're not getting the job done, if you're finding that there's things that are being missed, give it maybe, give it 90 days, because a lot of times there's such a lag effect in real estate. I would say give it 90 days on like the CRMs. I would say for the coaches, like I talked about earlier, you want to make sure that you connect with that coach. So if you find within like the first session or so, you guys are paying money for it, so be vocal about it. If it's not working for you, I wouldn't give it more than, again, 90 days seems to be the magic mark for me. I try to give things 3 months because I want to have sample size. If you don't have sample size, you're just kind of jumping into it. I know that some people like 6 month mark, but I think that's too long. I'm impatient and I want to see immediate. So I feel like if you're not finding that ability or that result that you want, and especially, again, if you're paying money for it, I wouldn't give it past 90 days before you switch to another one. And again, someone else might find that to be a little bit different and a little bit longer, but I'm just an impatient person. So I would say 90 days.
Right. So another question I got regarding CRMs, which one are you using currently? Because I know you've gone through a few. And what is the rough cost that you would at least budget for a good CRM? And what, I guess, are you looking for in that CRM?
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So my CRM is Follow Up Boss. That's the one that I found that I use. When I worked at State Farm, they had this amazing CRM platform. And I got so spoiled because you could literally go in, see all your tasks that you needed to have done for that day. It was beautiful. So when I went into real estate, finding something that was similar to that kind of a platform was really hard. And I was introduced to Follow Up Boss like a couple years ago, but I never really used it. And then when I was developing a team beginning of the year, I went back in and I was like, I got to find a better CRM that does what I need it to do. Follow-up tasks, gives me exactly what I'm supposed to do, automatic drip campaigns, all of that. And this one has been the best, but it runs about $70 a month for a single user. And then you can—
not unreasonable.
No,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I liked about it.
Right.
I'm like, because everything starts adding up, but this one, it's really efficient, and I like that. And it connects to your emails, and it connects to your lead platforms. So I really enjoy that.
Well, and I think Rochelle and even you would agree that, I mean, you could be spending hundreds of dollars a month on a CRM, but it's more valuable for it to be something that you actually use than having all the bells and whistles, right?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, making sure that it's effective for what you need done. Yeah.
So another question that we had is, what is something you did in 2019 that you will definitely not do in 2020?
I think letting external circumstances get in my way. That was one thing I feel like I set good goals for the beginning of the year. I'm glad I hit almost all of them, but I could definitely see where certain things that were really difficult allowed me to kind of take control and give a little bit of anxiety, and it didn't make me the best person I could be. Right. So I would say just making sure that I take control better of those situations, and that's part of why the blocking is going to help. It's part of the reason I'm trying to like outsource a little bit, because I'm going to take control over those external things so I can be better.
Right. Mm-hmm. So one thing that Rochelle wanted me to ask you is what you have planned for fun next year, and what is your goal for the number of transactions to close for next year? She says she put you down for 62. Is that still the case?
Still the case. Yeah. 62 is still the case.
62 closings.
62 closings, yes. Yeah. And then as far as what I like to do for fun, well, next year we like to go to Disneyland for the kids. We take the kids once a year. So to like our California adventure vacation. And so that's going to be our plan for next year, is going the last week of August. So we go to San Diego and then we go to Disneyland. So, but that's where we're going to go. That's our favorite place.
Do you have it on your schedule? I mean, I know some people have a hard time taking vacation when they're working so much. Do you put it on your calendar now, even though you have tickets?
Yeah. As soon as we're done with our vacation, we're already knowing when we're going to go, because it's always, we learned that I know this is going to sound funny, but we learned the California kids go to school like a little earlier than Washington kids. So we discovered when you have to go to like an amusement park, like Legoland or something like that, you get a little tiny advantage where the wait times aren't as bad. So we always plan that last week of August. Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions that we had that came through today. And I'm sure there's a lot more that came. But that's kind of all we had. If you have more questions, you're welcome to send them our way, and we can ask Lacey personally and get you a response. But thank you so much, Lacey, for jumping in and kind of answering my questions and some of yours that have kind of sent them through. Is there, I guess, one kind of advice? Anybody, is some sort of advice that you give to someone getting into the industry or someone who's been in the industry? To kind of kick off the last bit of this call?
I would say be consistent. That's the biggest thing, because without that consistency, you're not going to move as forward in your business as you want to. So be consistent, be accountable. You know, at the end of the day, if you know that you're making the same amount of calls, the same numbers, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you're consistent at it, you're going to flourish. So that's the biggest thing I can say, is just be consistent. Call, build network, figure out your niche. Like if you know that you want to work with a lender partner, then go do it. Go find a lender partner that's going to give you exactly what you need to do. If you want to do internet, well, then become an expert at internet. Start doing it. So just be consistent in whatever you choose.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Very wise and sage advice.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your time, everybody. I'm glad you were able to jump on. We recorded this, so for people who want to listen to it again later, we'll have it available on our YouTube channel. Other than that, have a good day, and then we'll talk to you next Monday.
Thank you. Bye.